Zechariah chapter 5.
我们现在在撒迦利亚书第5章。
I always try to give the scripture out early to give people a chance to find it.
我经常很早的告诉大家我们今天学习到哪里，这样的话大家有机会能够找得着。
If we're ready to read, I think Sohong might be ready to read.
不知道宋红姐妹有没有时间可以读？现在 ？Yes， 第5章。From which verse to which verse?
Verse 1 is where we're going to start. And you know, as a teacher, I don't worry how far people read, but we can read down to verse 4. First 4 verses.
我们从第1节读到第4节。
We'll take it one vision at a time.
我们看一个意象每次。阿门。
Zechariah is a man who learns by what he sees.
撒迦利亚就是通过看来学习东西的一类人。
He probably has what we call today a photographic memory.
他可能今天就像我们用这样的话形容这样的人，他们就像那种就像照片一样，就是用照片能记忆在脑海当中。
He's a visual learner.
他是一个用视觉来学习的人。
As we've talked before, some people learn by what they hear.
就像我们以前讲的，有的人是通过听来学习。
If you don't know if you are a visual learner or a auditory learner, think about Bible study for one reason, as a place to start.
如果你不知道自己是视觉学习的还是听觉学习的，那我们就从那个查经这里开始讲一下。
You can read the verse and memorize it as you look at it.
当你看这个字的时候，当你读的时候，你能记住它。
I memorize verses by reading them.
我是通过读这些，我才能记得住。
But I have a daughter who learns by listening.
但是我有一个女儿，她是通过听来记得住。
They sing every song they've ever heard in 101 Dalmatians, in Mulan, in all the Disney movies.
他们学那个101斑点狗，还有那个木兰那个电影，所有他们听的歌，他们都能唱出来。
In The Lion King, they know all the words to all the songs.
在那个狮子王也是，他们知道所有那里的台词，所有那里的歌曲。
All the popular music on the radio.
所有在当时收音机上面那些流行的歌曲。
They know all the words by heart.
他们都是就用心里知道那所有的词。
They've never seen them with their eyes.
他们从来没有就是看过。
They watched the movie, but they didn't see the words.
他们是看了那个电影，但没看到电影上那个就是那些词。
It was all by learning.
都是通过耳朵听着来记住的。
This prophet is a visual person. He sees visions. he sees visions.
这个先知呢，他是一个视觉的这个先知，他是看着的这些意象。
Isaiah hears voices.
那以赛亚呢是听到声音。
People who hear voices go to the hospital quicker than those who see visions.
人们听到声音去医院的人，比看到的那个人去医院要快。
If we tell people we're hearing voices, they say, you need to see a psychiatrist.
如果我们跟人说的话，我听到了一个声音，别人说那你应该去看心理医生。
But if you just have a vivid imagination and see things in your mind, that's okay.
如果你只是在你的印象当中看见了一些东西，只是你自己看见的一些东西印象，那样可以。
Zechariah is a kind of person that sees visions.
撒迦利亚就这样一样人，他是看见意象的人。
If you have an active mind that thinks about this and that and the other thing, and you remember things that you saw, then you are a visual person.
如果你的那个思想是很活跃的，你想着这个想着那个，然后也能记得住你看见的这些景象，那你就是一个视觉的人。
When you look for a Bible verse, you say, it was on the right-hand page.
如果你看那个圣经的词的话，你说它是会在右面，
It was on the right side, not the left side.
它是在右手边，不是在左手边。
And it was towards the top of the page.
然后它是在页的顶面，
You remember what you saw.
你会记住你看见的。
Other people remember that was on that audio, and you go back to this visual.
那
To this
有
tape,
些
to
人，
that tape.
那有些人就会说，哦，他是在那个平台上，或者是在这个磁带上，或者在那个磁带上。
I'm taking too long to explain this, but I want you to know that Zechariah is a visual person with a vivid imagination.
我花了很长时间来讲这个，但是我主要想说的是，撒迦利亚是一个视觉上的一个人，他是有非常那个鲜明的那种视觉的。
Now, remember, there's an angel with him.
我们还记着这里有一个天使，
He's talking with this angel who's answering some of his questions.
他在跟这个天使讲话，然后再回答他的一些问题。
He answered the question about the lampstand, but he really didn't answer the question about the olive trees.
这个天使回答了金灯台的这个问题，但是他没有具体的说那个橄榄树的问题。
So it is in our conversations with God. That's
So
how
that-
it is. That is how it is with our conversations with God.
所以我们跟那个神之间的谈话也跟这个相似。
Sometimes the answer is very clear.
有的时候他回答的是很清楚的，
And other times we really don't understand.
在其他的时候我们感觉真的不是很明白。
But as we walk down the road of life, it becomes clearer and clearer.
但是当我们在我们的人生路上继续往前走的话，那我们就会看得越来越清楚。
So he looks again, and this time he sees a flying scroll.
他又举目观看，这一次看见有一飞行的书卷。
Maybe you've seen a flying wok pan coming across the room in anger.
就你可能看见过一个是炒菜的锅，从屋的这头扔到那头，是带着怒气的。
Some scholars throw books when they're mad.
有一些就是学者，他们生气的时候会把书给扔过去。
And Zechariah sees a flying scroll, a manuscript rolled up.
在这里，撒迦利亚看见了一个飞行的书卷，是一个书被卷起来的。
They didn't have books back then. They rolled up the paper on a stick.
那个时候他们没有那个书，他们是把那个纸给卷，就根据一个轴给它卷起来。
If you're a teacher or a parent, you have watched the wheels in your child's head turning while they think.
如果你是老师或者是家长的话，你会看见你孩子脑海当中就像有个车轮的时候，当他们想的时候，那个车轮会转。
And you've also seen those wheels stop and they're brain dead. They're not thinking.
那你知道他们不想的时候，脑袋什么也不想的时候，他们那个车轮就不转了。
Zechariah is seeing this vision, and you can tell he's seeing a vision.
在这里，撒加利亚看了一个异象，你很明显就知道他看了一个异象。
So the angel says, "What do you see? What do you see?"
所以这个天使问他，使者问他，你看见什么？
The parent or the teacher has to look for those times in their children when their mind is in gear.
所以当老师和家长一定要等待那个时刻，看他们的孩子，全力思想正在全力想的时候。
And that's when you ask the question, "What do you see?"
然后那时候你就会问个问题，说你看见什么了？
The colloquial phrase in English is a penny for your thoughts.
然后在英语当中有一个俗语叫做一个铜板对于你的想法。
I'll give you some money if you'll tell me what you're thinking.
我给你点钱，如果你告诉我你想的是什么。
I'm not going to give you much money, a penny for your thoughts.
我不会给你很多，就给你1美分。
You may want to practice saying that if you want to learn English, a penny for your thoughts.
如果你想学英语的话，可以跟我重复这句话 ：A penny for a thought.
A penny?
A penny.
跟我读 a penny
跟我一起读 A penny
for your thoughts.
for your thought.
A penny for your thoughts.
A penny for your thought.
小红 a penny for your thoughts.
宋红可以读 A penny for.
非常好 good, good. 刘畅 a penny for your thoughts. Okay, I'm just having fun in this new year, okay?
我只是今天新年感觉很高兴。
People are always asking me to teach them English, and so now I'm teaching English.
他
All
们经
right.
常让我教他们英语，所以我现在正在教英语。
Now, Zechariah answers the question.
然后那个撒加利亚回答了问题。
He says, I see a flying scroll.
我看见一个飞行的书卷，
It's kind of like a big banner.
就是一个很大的，就像那个标语似的，
It's like a big flag flapping in the wind, a flying scroll.
就像一个很大的旗随风那个飘展似的。
And now Zechariah has very good eyes. He tells you how big it is.
撒加利亚的眼睛是很犀利的，他居然能看出那个书卷是多大。
It's 10 meters long, 5 meters wide.
它是10米长5米宽，
10 by 5 meters. Wow.
就是10乘5。
Now, this time the angel just tells him the answer.
这次这个天使告诉他了这个答案。
The angel understands that Zechariah is pretty dumb.
然后这个天使肯定理解是撒加利亚是非常困惑。
All through chapter 3, all through chapter 4, he says, do you know what you're looking at?
因为几乎第4节第5节他都说，你知道你看见了什么吗？
Can you explain what you're seeing?
你可不可以跟我解释一下你看见是什么？
And he says, no, tell me. I don't know. Tell
因
me.
为撒加利亚都是说我不知道，你可以告诉我吗？
It's okay if you're a believer to say, I don't know.
你是一个信徒，你可以说我不知道。
It's a sign of weakness to some people not to know, but that's how we are as human beings.
对于很多人来说，如果说不知道的话，好像是个很懦弱的表现。但是，作为人的话，我们确实有不知道的地方。
We see in part, we know in part.
我们都是看的局部，我们知道的也都是局部。
But by chapter 5, the angel is not asking him, do you know what you're seeing? He just tells him.
但是在第5节， 在第5章他没有问他说你看见什么，他直接就告诉他了什么。
And he says this flying scroll is a curse.
然后这个天使告诉他，这个飞行的书卷是地上的诅咒。
It's going out.
他要行在遍地上的咒诅。
Over the entire land.
是在遍地上的。
It's not just for 1 or 2 villages. It's for the entire land.
并不是1、2个村庄，而是发出行在遍地上的咒诅。
And it says on one side, every thief will be banished.
然后按照卷上面的一面话所写，凡偷窃的必除灭。
And on the other side, it says, anybody who lies is going to be banished.
然后另一卷说，凡起假誓的，必按卷上那面的话除灭。
This flying scroll has characters on it. It says, bad news for thieves, bad news for liars.
这个飞行的书卷上面有一些话语，这个话语是说，那些偷窃的、做假誓的都将被除灭。
And that means bad news for me.
对于我来说，这也是一个坏消息。
I have not always told the truth.
因为我也不是一直都是在讲真话的。
I've stolen things from my sister before I was 5 years old.
在我5岁之前，我也从我姐姐那里偷过东西。
To steal a pencil from my sister is just as bad as stealing $5 million from the bank.
我从我那姐姐偷了一个小铅笔，就像别人从银行偷了500万美元，都是同样的不好。
What I taught my children growing up is the only difference between stealing a pencil and stealing $5 million is the amount.
当我的孩子们长大的时候，我告诉他们，偷一支铅笔和从银行偷500万唯一的不同就是你们的量是不同的。
So very quickly, I began to borrow pencils from my sister.
所以很快我就学着是从我姐姐那里借铅笔。
I wasn't stealing them, I was just borrowing them.
我没有偷，我只是借。
So the next lesson they taught me was when you borrow, you ask permission to borrow it. You don't just take it.
但是下一个他们教我就是说，你要是借的话，你得得到别人的允许，不能直接就拿。
So my learning about not stealing was a gradual process.
所以我学着什么叫不偷，这是一个过程，我才理解到。
And I wish that was the only time I ever stole something.
我希望那是我唯一的一次偷东西的时候。
As children, we went and stole some apples off the neighbor's apple tree once.
那我们小孩子的时候，我们有的时候喜欢去偷邻居家苹果树上的苹果。
It was a very good year.
那年非常好。
The apples we took were already fallen to the ground in the
那
wind.
个苹果已经熟透了，风一吹就掉在了地上。
Some of them already had worms starting to go into them.
因为有一些已经长虫子了。
But as young boys, we knew how to take our pocket knife and dig those worms out and eat the fruit.
但是作为小男孩，我们就会把我们那个兜里小刀拿出来，把那小虫子给挖出去，然后吃那苹果。
We didn't look on the tree for the best apple and take the best apple. We just took the fruit off the ground.
我们没有往树上看，拿的是那个树上长得最好的苹果，我们只是把掉在地上的苹果捡起来。
But guess what happened?
但是你们猜猜发生了什么？
We brought them home in our shirt, and guess who was at home when we got home?
我们用那个衬衫包起来，把他们带回家。你猜到我们到家的时候谁在家里？
My mother.
我妈妈。
And we said, look what we got off the ground at the neighbors.
我说妈妈，你看我们从我们邻居家的地上捡了什么？
Can you make us an apple pie?
你可不可以给我做一个苹果派？
And she said, well, I don't know yet. Come with me.
他说我不知道，你们要跟我来。
And she marched us back to the neighbor.
然后我们走回到邻居家，
And she knocked on the door.
他敲了敲门，
And we still had the apples in our shirt.
在我们的那个衣服上还是有着苹果。
And she said, Mr. Farmer,
他说Farmer 先生，
these young boys have something to ask of you.
这些小男孩有一些事情想询问你一下。
And we said, Mr. Farmer, can we have these apples?
然后我们问那个 Farmer 先生，我们可不可以有这些苹果？
And he looked at us.
他看了看我们，
He said, let me see. And he took one and bit into it and started to eat it.
然后他拿了一个，然后开始咬了一口，然后就开始吃。
He says, what are all these holes in the apple?
他说这些苹果上的这些洞都是什么？
We said, well, we really didn't want the worms. We've cut the worms out.
我们说我们真的不选苹果上那虫子，所以我们就把那虫子给咔掉了。
And he said, I tell you what,
他说
you've already
Sorry.
cut the worms out. You have already cut the worms out.
然后他说你们已经把那个虫子给弄掉了，
So let me pay you $2 for these apples you've already cleaned up for me.
所以让我给你$2，因为你帮我把这些苹果给清干净了。
And go pick some fresh ones off the tree.
然后去那个树上摘一些新鲜的水果，
Take as many as you want.
你想拿多少就拿多少。
And thank you for coming to ask me. I wish all the little boys in the neighborhood would do that.
好，谢谢你们过来问我，我希望在这个小区的所有的小男孩像你们一样就好了。
And we each got $1 apiece.
然后我们每一个人都拿到了是$1 for one apple。
No, for the shirt full of apples.
哦，就是每个人得到了$1。
You know, you carry the apples in your shirt, right?
Yeah, so just $1 for one boy. Okay,
2 boys, me and my
So-
friend.
each one go. 所以每一个人得到$1，
So we each made $1.
所以我们每个人得到了$1，总共2个小男孩。
And I think my mama and the neighbor smiled at each other while we went home to have apple pie.
我想那个当我和我的朋友回到家里准备要吃苹果派的时候，我妈妈和我的邻居都是微笑着的。
Parents and teachers have to work with each other to teach their children stealing is not good.
老师和家长要一起的去协作来教育孩子，告诉孩子偷窃是不好的。
Because if you steal apples and pencils when you're a little kid, you will steal bigger things when you get older.
如果你小的时候你就偷窃苹果还有铅笔的话，那你长大的话你就会偷窃大的。
Because you don't learn what is yours and what belongs to somebody else.
因为你不知道你所要的实际上是属于别人的东西。
You either think that everything belongs to you
你可能以前想所有东西都是属于你的，
or nothing belongs to you.
或者没有任何东西是属于你的。
And so the scroll says thieves and liars are going to get into trouble.
所以这个飞行的书卷说，偷窃的和其假释的都将被除灭。
And the trouble is they'll be kicked out, they'll be banished.
他们会有很大的麻烦，这个麻烦就是会被除灭掉。
God declares, I'm going to send it out.
万军之耶和华说，我必使这书卷出去，
I'm going to send this scroll to the house. It's going to go into the house of the thief and the liar.
进入偷窃人的家和指我名其假释人的家。
Now, it says the liar who swears falsely by God's name.
他说这书卷会进去指我的名其假释的人。
That's where you say on with an oath. I'm
这就
telling the
是
truth.
就是当你宣誓的时候，你说我说的都是真相，
I'm telling the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help me God.
我说的都是真相，没有任何不是真相的。
Do you promise you're telling the truth? I do.
你许诺你告诉的都是真相吗？你说是的。
So when you swear falsely, you say, I did not steal those apples.
所以如果你做假设，你就说我没有偷这些苹果，
I swear to God, I just borrowed that pencil. I didn't steal it.
我向那个神祷告，我没有那个偷那个铅笔，我就是借的。
Honestly, I was going to bring the pencil back when I was done.
哦，真的，当我疑惑的时候，我正打算把那个铅笔还回去呢。
When you don't tell the truth and try to make people believe you are telling the truth, you are in trouble with God. You're going to be banished.
如果你不告诉那个话语，如果你不说真话的话，那你知道你从神那里就会得的，你从神那里就会有麻烦，你最后也会被神所灭除掉。
And it's going to stay in the house and it's going to destroy the thief's house.
他将必常在家里，连房屋带把那个偷窃人的家给毁灭了，
The wood and the stones.
连房屋带木石都毁灭了。
That's enough to make me need a savior.
这些就足够了，对于我来说需要一个救主。
I'm guilty of stealing. I'm guilty of lying.
我是有偷窃的罪，我也有撒谎的罪，
But I don't want to be banished.
但是我不想被除灭掉。
Jesus says, you don't have to be banished. Trust in me. I'll take care of it.
耶稣说你不需要被除灭掉，你要相信我，我会来照料你。
And he took care of it on the cross of Calvary.
然后他是在十字架上把
He
我们的
took
罪
care
所
of it.
担当。
He took care of it by dying on the cross
他因为
because I've sinned.
因为我们的罪恶，他在十字架上为我们担当所死。
And if you were the only person who sinned, he died for you.
如果你是唯一曾经就是犯罪的人，那他为你所死。
But now Zechariah, he's full of visions. He has just a mind that doesn't quit.
那些撒迦利亚有各种各样的这个意象，他这个意象在脑海里一直出现。
Has your mind ever seemed like it would never stop thinking?
你的思想有没有时候看起来是永远不会停止思考的呢？
And you lie down to sleep and the visions just keep coming. You keep seeing this scene and that scene and that scene and you cannot go to sleep.
当你躺要睡觉的时候，一个场景一个场景的出现，你无法入睡。
I think Zechariah had some sleepless nights because of what he was seeing in his
我想
mind.
撒迦利亚那一晚有点像不眠之夜，因为他看了这么多的异象。
If this has happened to you, it's happened to others.
在你身上发生，也在别人身上发生。
Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Your mind will slow down.
你要把你全心全意信主，那么你的思维就会慢慢的平静下来。
So let's read verses 5 to 11.
让我们读一下第5节到第11节。
Liu Chang, can you read?
第几章？
第5章
Yes.
第五章。
第5章
哪一卷书啊？
撒迦利亚书。
第5章啊，非卷的一些。
Oh, Mary's gonna read.
与我说话的天使出来对我说：“你要举目观看，见所出来的是什么？”我说：“这是什么呢？”他说：“这出来的是气粮。”他又说：“ 这是恶人在遍地的形状。这坐在凉气中的是个妇人。天使说：“这是罪恶。”他就把妇人扔在凉气中，将那片圆签扔在凉气的口上。Keep reading.
2:11.
我又举目观看，见有2个妇人出来，在他们翅膀中有风，飞得甚快，翅膀如同鹤鸟的翅膀。他们将凉气抬起来，悬在天地中间。我问与我说话的天使说：“他们将凉气抬到哪里去呢？”他对我说：“要往示拿地去，为他盖造房屋，等房屋齐备，就把他安置在自己的地方。”阿们。
阿门。
The angel that's with him
阿妹，
steps forward and talks to him.
与我说话的天使出来，对撒迦利亚说
He says, look up this time. Not just
Just-
look, but look up.
这是他说你不观看，应该是举目观看，抬头观看。
We start just looking out, looking around.
我们开始的是往我们周围看，
But sooner or later, we start to look up.
然后不久我们就会举目观看，
And the angel tells him to look up and tell me what you're saying.
然后天使说你举目观看，你见所出来的是什么？
Zechariah doesn't wait for the angel to say, what are you seeing?
然后这里撒迦利亚没有等到那个天使问他你看见了什么，
The angel didn't say, look up and tell me what you see.
然后天使没有说你举目观看，告诉我你看到的是什么。
When you start with a new student or a young child, you sometimes have to keep asking the question, tell me what you see.
如果你开始的是个新的学生或者小孩子，你一直都问他们你看的是什么。
But once you establish a relationship with that child, then you just carry on a conversation.
但是一旦你和这个小孩子就是比较熟了之后，那你就继续这样的谈话，
You don't have to give commands.
你不需要给一些命令，
You just can ask a question when you have a question.
但你有问题的时候你就问问题就可以。
Using questions is a nice way to give commands.
用问题是得到诫命一个 command. You mean like
An order.
就是你问问题是得到就是这种诫命很好的一种方式。
Pretty soon you just give a suggestion and the student follows the teacher.
很快只要你给一个建议，这个学生就会听从老师的。
I saw that yesterday with my grandchild.
昨天我跟我的那个小外孙女就是这样的，
15 months old, and my daughter said to her daughter, go put this in the trash can.
15个月大的小孩，然后我的女儿告诉她的女儿去把这个扔到垃圾桶里。
15 months old, the child took it and carried it to the trash can.
然后15个月大的小孩把那东西捡起来扔到了垃圾箱里。
I don't know how many times my daughter has taken things to the trash can.
我不知道有多少次我的女儿必须要把东西扔到垃圾里，
Very slowly, so the child could toddle along with her.
一定是非常慢的，所以她的孩子能够跟她一起这么做，
And say, this is trash in my hand.
然后跟她说看在我的手里这是垃圾，
I put trash in the trash can.
我把垃圾扔到垃圾箱里，
And I kiss people I love.
I kiss what？
I kiss people that I love.
然后我们会亲吻我们爱的人。
And the next time she had some trash in the kitchen preparing a meal, she says, this is trash.
然后下一次当她在那个厨房准备东西有一些垃圾的时候，她就说看这是垃圾。
it goes in the trash can.
它应该去垃圾箱。
And so 15 months old, she has taught her child what trash is.
所以就15个月大的小孩，我的女儿已经教他什么是垃圾，
And she's taught the child where trash goes.
然后她也告诉给那个我的外孙女儿，然后这个垃圾应该去到哪里。
I expect in maybe 2 more months to see something else.
我相信可能在2个月之内，我可能会看到一些其他的东西。
I will see my daughter take a piece of trash and put it in the child's hand and say, "This is trash."
我看见我的女儿把那个垃圾从地上捡起来，放在我外孙女儿手上，跟她说：“你看，这个就是垃圾。”
And go back to what she's doing.
然后再回去做她自己做的事情。
And that child, without being asked, will take that trash and go put it in the trash can.
然后那个小孩子，别人没有叫他，他自己就主动把垃圾扔到了垃圾桶里。
Because children like to show their parents, they like to show the teacher that they know how to live.
因为小孩子喜欢告诉他们家长，告诉他们的老师，他们知道他们怎么样的生活。
But right now, she has to be told.
那现在呢，他必须要被告诉。
But we see in the story in chapter 5, the angel and Zechariah are beginning to have an easygoing talking relationship.
但是在第5节，我们看见撒迦利亚和天使他们之间的关系可能比较亲近了一些，所以是谈话都是很轻松的。
He says, "Look up and see what is beginning to appear."
他说你要举目观看，见所出来的是什么？
The angel gives Zechariah a clue that he's about to receive a vision.
然后这个天使给了撒迦利亚一个提示，因为他将要看着一个异象。
And Zechariah shakes his head and says, "What is it?"
那撒迦利亚摇了摇头说：“这是什么？
Ishma. Ishma, is that right?
是什么？”嗯哼，
Shishima. Shishima. Okay. You Shishima?
是什
Mary, how?
这是什么？
Shishima. Okay. This isn't to teach me Chinese. This is to teach English. Okay.
这不是教我汉语的时间，是教英语的时间。
And I don't want to waste your time learning English.
我也不想浪费大家时间。
You have a question, Guobing?
郭斌，你有
Question?
问题？
Okay. So we see them having this relationship where they're just talking with each other. They're becoming friends.
我们看见他们这种关系很融洽，这种就像朋友关系似的，彼此就是这么谈话。
So the angel tells him it's a measuring basket.
所以这个天使告诉他，这是个量器。
Now, what's the difference between a basket and a measuring basket?
那一个就是它就是个篮子啊，就一个篮子和一个作为量器的篮子有什么区别呢？
It's the difference between a basket and a bushel basket.
bushel basket.
Bushel basket.
What is a bushel basket?
A bushel basket holds a bushel of corn or a bushel of wheat.
它就是一个一个篮子和一个就是一个量器的篮子，就有点像器皿似的。
And if you fill the basket full, you know how much you have.
然后你把这个篮子给填满的时候，你就知道这里有多少，
So you can measure with it.
所以你用它可以量东西。
Most cooks just kind of put in a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but the recipe says you need a 1/4 tablespoon.
就有一些厨师就是放一点这儿，放一点那儿，但是有的时候配方里说的话，你应该放什么1/4茶勺那么多的那个东西，那个桌勺那么多，
or half a teaspoon.
或者1/2像茶勺那么多的东西。
I can give you an illustration
这里我给大家演示一下，
so you know what I'm talking about.
所以你就知道我讲的是啥。
Take a look.
我们可以看一下，
Have you ever seen anything like that before?
看没看过像这样的东西呢？以前
That measures 1 tablespoon.
这是一个桌勺，
This measures a
汤勺啊，
fourth of a tablespoon.
这1/4
Fourth of a tablespoon,
桌勺，
1 tablespoon.
这是一个桌勺，还叫汤勺好像是。
Measuring basket is a big basket that holds a certain amount.
然后这个就是量器，这个篮子它就是一个有特定容量的篮子，它放里面的是有固定重量的。
And apparently there is something in the basket that's full of iniquity of the people throughout the land.
很明显，在量器里有什么东西是充满了，就是恶人在遍地的形状。
God has been watching. He knows what's been going on. He knows who the thieves are. He knows who the liars are.
上帝一直在查看，他也知道发生了什么，他知道那些盗贼在哪儿，也知道那些说假誓言的在哪儿。
So then the cover of the basket is raised.
然后这个量器的那个盖子被打开了，
And guess what? In the basket is a woman.
你猜猜，在量器中坐着是个妇人，
There's a woman sitting in this basket.
只有一个妇人坐在那个量器中，
This sure is a funny dream, isn't it?
这是一个很有趣的意象，是吧？
The angel tells Zechariah, the woman in the basket is wickedness.
然后这个天使告诉撒迦利亚，在容器中的妇人，这是罪恶。
And apparently the woman was sitting, tried to climb out. He pushed her back into the basket and pushed the lid cover back down over its mouth.
很明显，坐在人群当中，这个妇人试着要往上爬，但是呢，天使把妇人扔在量器当中，将那个顶盖儿又放在量器上。
He put a lid on the wickedness.
他把一个圆签扔在量器的口上，扔在罪恶的上面。
And of course, anybody who cleans house for the new year, does anybody clean house for the new year?
就像大家在新年打扫房间似的，是不是？有人在新年打扫房间吗？
You first eat with the husband's family, then you eat with the wife's family. You party for the new year, but don't you also clean house?
我们知道那个我们新年有聚会，然后初一是去丈夫家，初二是回娘家，但是我们之前都会打扫房间，是吧？
Spring cleaning is part of what you do to have good luck.
然后把房间清理干净了，是我们就是新年有好运的一个标志。
Isn't planning to have a better year than you had last year part of the plan for the new year?
然后我们新年其中的一个愿望就是我们新的一年会比去年要更好。
Are we not supposed to turn over a new leaf?
我们不是应该翻开一个新的叶子？
So cleaning house is part of the new year.
所以把房屋清扫干净也是新年的一部分。
And part of cleaning house is knowing what is treasure and what is trash.
有的时候我们打扫房子，我们知道什么是垃圾，什么是那个宝藏。
When you find a piece of trash, oh, you might as well put that into the trash.
如果你发现两个是没用的东西，你就会把它们扔到垃圾里。
You find a piece of treasure, well, we'll keep that with the treasure.
如果我们发现有东西是有用的，我们再把它们留下来。
You find a piece of trash, it goes into the trash pile.
如果同样发现还是没用的，就把它们扔到垃圾里。
And to do that, you have to learn what is treasure, what is trash.
为了那么做，你要区分什么是有用的，什么是没用的。
And who teaches you that?
那谁教你的这些呢？
Parents, teachers,
妈妈、父母还是老师？
and the Word of God, the Bible.
和是父母、老师还有神的话语。
Once you get that trash down into the measuring basket, don't let it out. Put a lid on your trash can.
如果你把那个垃圾扔到了那个垃圾箱里，那么就把垃圾盖儿盖上，不要让垃圾出来。
Trash has a way of climbing back out of the trash can.
那这些垃圾总是有各种方法能够从垃圾箱里就是再流出来。
I remember a long time ago, maybe 20 years ago, I found myself going through the trash.
大概是20年以前，我记得我当时是在垃圾里走。
What had happened was it seemed that my children were throwing things away that I did not want thrown away.
可能是因为我的孩子们把我不想扔的东西给扔了。
Now, if they want to throw away their things, that's one thing, but when they throw away my things, that's something else.
如果他们扔他们的自己的东西，那是他们事儿；但他们如果扔我的东西，那是另外一码事儿。
I had some things that were missing, and I thought maybe they were in the trash.
因为我有一些东西找不着了，我想他们可能是在垃圾里。
And once you start something, it spreads all through the house. I began to see my children going through the trash.
然后 I'm sorry, just say again.
I saw my children going through the trash like I was.
我看我的孩子们去那个垃圾那里面，就像我一样。
I said, "What's going on?"
然后我问他们发生什么事了。
She says, "I think my little sister is throwing my things away."
我想我的妹妹好像把我东西给扔了。
I think she heard me talking to my wife.
我想她一定是听见了我和我太太之间的谈话。
I think she heard me accusing my wife of maybe the children were throwing my things away.
她可能听见我跟我的太太在那块儿抱怨说，我的孩子们可能把我东西给扔没了。
Every house has a trash can, doesn't it?
每个家里都有一个垃圾桶什么。
And if trash doesn't get into the trash can, but ends up someplace else, like on a table or on the floor in the corner, guess what happens?
如果垃圾不是在垃圾箱里，那你想想，如果它要是在桌子上、地上或者在角落里，你想想会发生什么？
You start to get a pile of trash there.
然后你的垃圾就会越多，就会堆积起来在那块儿。
Now that's true in my house. Is that true in your house?
在我家里是这样，你们家也是那样吗？
When I was raising girls, I watched somebody teach them how to keep their room clean.
当我的女儿长大的时候，我看见有人教他们怎么样要把你的房间给保持干净。
The children would take their clothes off anywhere and just throw it on the floor.
小孩子们把衣服给在任何地方脱完就扔地下。
So she got a clothes basket and told the children to put it in the basket.
所以他有一个衣服的篮子，告诉他们把你的衣服放在篮子里。
But they would get close to the basket, but not in the basket.
You mean they put the clothes close to the basket, but not in the clothes basket?
Yes, they threw the clothes
他们
close to the basket, but not in the basket.
他们把衣服扔的是在那个篮子附近，但是没扔进去。
So Mama still had to pick them up off the floor. She didn't have to walk so far, but she still had to work.
妈妈并不需要那个走很远把衣服捡起来再放篮子里，但是她还是需要把衣服从地上捡起来放在篮子里。
So she didn't yell at the children. She got a bigger basket.
所以她没有对小孩子们就是发火，但是她拿了一个更大的篮子。
And she started to having basketball games. Can you get your clothes thrown into the basket?
然后我们家里就有那个像篮球比赛一样，你可不可以把你的衣服扔到筐里？
And after the clothes were all in the basket, she'd go pick them up, bring them back out, scatter them around the room, and say, "Let's do it again."
然后
See
当
if
孩
you
子
can-
们把衣服都扔到那个筐里之后，然后妈妈再把它拿出来放的满屋子全是，然后问孩子们，你们可不可以再做一次，把这个衣服再扔到筐子里？
Now, they didn't learn any English that day.
那时候他们还没有学英语，
They didn't learn how to add or subtract.
他们没有学加法减法，
They didn't read any history book.
他没有学历史书。
They had a game day.
但是那天他们有一个是游戏的一天，
And it wasn't too long until the children learned how to put the clothes in the basket.
但是没过多久，孩子们就知道怎么样能把衣服放在筐子里了。
And after a while, the basket became a smaller basket.
然后没多久，那个小箱，那个装衣服箱变成更小一点的了。
And pretty soon that lesson was learned.
然后很快这样功课就被学习到了。
So Mama, the great teacher, could go teach something else.
所以妈妈是最伟大的老师，可以教其他的东西。
And had more free time.
然后这样妈妈就会有更多的自由的时间。
Teaching children to be independent is a blessing.
教导让小孩子怎么样能够独立干事情，这是一个非常蒙福的。
Not only to Mama and Papa and the school teacher, but also to the child.
不仅仅是对父母、爸爸、老师，对孩子自己也是。
Because knowledge that a child learns, they want to pass on to somebody else.
因为小孩子所学到的知识，他会把它再传给其他人。
So they push it back down in the basket. They keep the trash contained.
所以他把它们放回，又把它推回到容器当中，把上面盖上盖儿。
And they look up and guess what they see? Two women with the wind in their wings. Their dresses are flapping around in the wind.
他又举目观看，看见了两个妇人出来，在他们翅膀中有风，飞得甚快。
But no, it's not their dresses. I guess they are like angels. They had wings like a stork.
看他们的那个穿着，他们就像起来是像天使一样。
Kind of a woman, kind of an angel, but it's a vision. It can be anything in a vision.
看起来像两个妇人，看起来又像天使，但是这是在意象当中。
The important thing is not who they are, but where are they taking the basket?
重要的是他们是谁不重要，重要是他们把这个量器抬到哪儿去。
Zechariah doesn't worry about whether they're angels or women. He wants to know where they're taking the basket.
撒迦利亚不在于这是两个天使还是两个妇人，他在意的是他们把这个量器拿到哪里。
And the angel tells him,
然后天使告诉了他，
we're taking it to the country of Babylonia to build a house for it.
我要把它带到巴比伦去，然后为它盖造房屋。
When it is ready, the house is ready, then the basket is going to be put in the house.
等房屋齐备，就把它安置在他自己的地方。
The evil is being taken out of Jerusalem and sent to Babylon.
那个罪恶从耶路撒冷当中带出来，被发回了巴比伦。
There's a heaven to gain.
There's a heaven game.
There is a heaven that we want to go to.
这里有一个就天堂是我们都想去的。
There is a hell we want to avoid.
地狱都是我们想要避免的。
Hell is where the thieves and the liars end up.
那地狱就是那些说谎的和偷窃的人所最终要去的地方。
Remember, they loved Jerusalem. They hated being captives in Babylon.
你要记住，他们是非常爱耶路撒冷的，他们很憎恨自己被掳去巴比伦。
So there's a great divide, good and evil.
这里有一个巨大的分歧，一个是善，一个是恶。
Taking other people's things and not telling the truth is bad.
拿别人的东西，然后说假话的，这都是恶。
And next Saturday, we will read about the 4 chariots.
那下周六呢，我们会学习第6章4辆车。
Zechariah is just full of visions.
撒迦利亚是各种各样的意象，
And that's why we study Zechariah.
这是为什么学习撒迦利亚书。
to learn how to know what we're seeing.
要学着知道我们怎么样去看。
The hour has come, the hour is gone. If Shu Wen will pray for us, we'll have questions.
时间来了，时间已经过去了，然后舒文，我们做一下祷告。
天父，我们感谢赞美你，谢谢你借着圣经亲自对我们讲话，教导我们。